Namaskaram friends. So in this video, I am going to talk about climate change and some important groupings of African countries, groupings of small island countries, groupings of non-EU countries, group of prominent developing countries for tackling the problem of climate change, environment, biodiversity, and particularly related to rise in the ocean sea level as well as uh, sea as well as you can say coastal degradation. So this topic is called climate change, but here we are going to talk about small grouping, which small grouping which who tried to solve the problem of climate change, environment, biodiversity as well as related to the nature. So you can clearly see first one is umbrella group, and also why this topic is important. Climate change, we know that each and every human, each and every life form are dependent on the climate, dependent on air, water, soil, fire, space. If these are not in a healthy state, then it impacts the life of human being, life of plants, life of animals. So it is very important that all countries, coastal countries, you can say countries in where desert occur, countries where tropical forest occur, country where you can say river occur, ocean occur, all member countries of the whole world come together, sit together and talk on the topic of climate change, because small island country are very vulnerable to it, because small island country have no more money to have a say in UN, and also developing country have, you can say, devote their money and resources in economy. So in economy, due to fossil fuels, due to other activities, more consumption of electricity occur, and we produce electricity due to fossil fuels, and due to fossil fuels, changes in climate change occur. So small island country are not contributing, very less contribution in climate change, but impacted a lot by climate change, and due to that, there is a very threat of their drowning and very threat of their, you can say, loss of culture, loss of geography as well as loss of their human beings. So that's why climate change is very important. In many meeting, in many COP meeting, many UN meeting, many Earth Summit meeting, countries or leaders of different countries come together, talk on it. But we have to look this issue comprehensively, and each and every member try to make a balance between environment, economy, biodiversity as well as climate change. It is important for humanity. Whatever we do for the sake of the humanity. So climate change is one of the prominent issue nowadays, because it impacted the whole world in terms of pollution, in terms of electricity, in terms of, you can say, sea level rise, in terms of drought, in terms of uh, tsunamis. So there are many natural phenomena, but climate change uh, triggered that phenomena so fast that means that some activities are created, happen very earlier than its expected time. So that's why this issue is important. So now we are going to talk about important groups which are dealing with climate change issues. So first one is umbrella group. This alliance is of a non-EU developed country. Remember, non-EU countries who are not a member of European Union, and developed countries. Okay, that means not a member of EU but developed, like Australia, Japan, USA, Russia. Okay, so these countries are come under umbrella group. So alliance of a non-EU developed country. Second one is Africa group. Africa is UN member. United Nations countries of Africa who are member of United Nations. So that country, Africa UN member, will push for additional climate funding. These members push for additional climate funding while arguing that expanding economy needs fossil fuel to increase electricity capacity. And their argument is very much correct, because when economy is expanding, requirement of electricity is on a way. So, and how we produce electricity? To fossil fuels. And when we burn the fossil fuels, climate, you can say, CO2 produce, and due to CO2, climate change happen. So the African group demand additional climate funding, because they argue that expanding economy needs fossil fuels to increase electricity capacity. Okay. Second one is African. Third one is climate vulnerable forum. In climate vulnerable forum, it represents 58 countries most at risk. Most of the country in 58 countries are at risk from climate impact. If climate change occurs, these countries are very vulnerable to that, including Bangladesh and Maldives. Okay. So these are coastal countries, and but also these are very not small island countries, but they are coastal countries and very much vulnerable to climate change. And last one is alliance, or not last one, a alliance of a small island state. These countries are very, very vulnerable because they are small island state. From all the sides, they are surrounded by water, and if climate change happen, if sea level rise, then these countries are threat to drowning. Their countries are very much prone to drowning. So that's why this alliance is very important. Alliance of a small island state. The alliance, also known as acronym AOISS, AOSIS, Alliance of a Small Island State, it represents countries that are disproportionate. Disproportionate, that means they they have a very less contribution in climate change, but impacted a very large due to climate change. So disproportionately vulnerable to climate change, but particularly sea level rise and coastal erosion. So due to coastal erosion and sea level rise, these country are faces very, you can say, serious issue of drowning, and this is disproportionate because these countries have a very less contribution in climate change, but this impact of climate change on this country is very huge. Okay, so alliance of a small island state. Next one is high ambition coalition. High ambition coalition chaired by Marshall Island. Marshall Island is an island near Australia. In this map, you can clearly see this is a map of Australia. So this state, this island, Marshall Island, you can see in the northeast. So chaired High Ambition Coalition is chaired by Marshall Island and with members including Costa Rica, United States, and European Union. Costa Rica, you can clearly see in this picture also. A small country, Costa Rica, is a small country in the Caribbean island, or you can say in the South America. Not South America, I think Caribbean island. Between North America and South America, there is a small channel called Caribbean Islands. Costa Rica is a part of it. Okay. So high ambition coalition chaired by Marshall Island and with members including Costa Rica, remember United States and EU. This group pushes for more progressive emissions targets and climate policies. So also remember a big country like United States and EU are also part of high ambition coalition. This is chaired by Marshall Island and also Costa Rica, and they target and they push for more progressive emission. That means if we emission is happen, it to be in a progressive manner and also push for climate policy. So remember four important alliances: Umbrella Group, Africa Group, Climate Vulnerable Forum, Alliance for Small Island State, as well as High Ambition Coalition. An important point in each and every group is Africa Group push for additional climate financing. In Umbrella Group, non-EU developed countries are, you can say, involved. Climate Vulnerable Forum, countries which are vulnerable to climate change. Alliance of Small Island States who are faces disproportionate vulnerability, as well as High Ambition Coalition push for more progressive emission target as well as climate policy. So in this picture, you can clearly see the map of Marshall Island in the northeast of Australia. Here you can also see map of Costa Rica, and in this picture you can clearly see due to climate change, thunderstorm, fire, glacial, you can say glacial degradation. Here, high rise in temperature, flood, drought. So these are the impact of climate change. Drought occur, flood occur, forest fire occur, tsunami or you can say thunderstorm occur, rise in temperature occur. Just a minute. Rise in temperature as well as glacier or melting on a high speed. Melting of glacier take place. So these are the impact of climate change. So now we are going to solve one question based on this topic. First one is the climate vulnerable group. Remember, Bangladesh and Maldives, which are vulnerable to climate change. So climate vulnerable group is a global partnership of countries most at risk from the climate impact. Yes, 58 countries are in it and most are vulnerable to climate change. So this one is correct. Second one is Alliance of Small Island State, AOSIS, represent countries that are disproportionately vulnerable to climate effect, particularly sea level rise and coastal erosion. This one is also correct. Next one is Umbrella Group include African UN member that push for additional climate financing. No, Umbrella Group include non-EU developed country like Japan, Australia, Russia, and USA, and African UN member that push for additional financing come under African Alliance. So this one is wrong. That means option 1 and 2 is correct. That means statement 1 and 2 is correct. That means option A is correct. Just check here. It is talk about correct. So just check we are on the right path or not. Option A. Option A is correct. That means we are on the right path. So I hope you love this video. You enjoy this video and gain some perspective, some knowledge out of it. Okay. So remember alliances of SIS Alliance, African Union, African Alliance, and then next one is High Ambition Coalition, Climate Vulnerable Forum, and Umbrella Group. So Umbrella Group, Africa Group, Climate Vulnerable Forum, Alliance of Small Understand, and High Ambition Coalition. Very important. Africa, Umbrella Group, Africa Group, AOSIS, Climate Vulnerable Group, as well as High Ambition Coalition. So 5 grouping, their significance, their importance. So I hope you love it, enjoy it, and gain some perspective out of it. And this is very, very, very important. Okay. So namaskaram. Thank you.